Central Jersey Family Health Consortium is pleased to offer this webinar, Don't Get Vaped In, the Next Generation of Tobacco Addiction. Our speaker today is Deena Cohen. She is currently working on her master's in public administration. She is a certified alcohol and drug counselor, women's treatment specialist, and certified tobacco treatment specialist. Deena has been with the Central Jersey Family Health Consortium for 10 years as a perinatal addiction specialist, and she's dedicated to the community that she serves and is passionate about educating the healthcare community regarding pregnancy and opioid use disorders. She has 3 grown children and currently lives on the water in Asbury Park, New Jersey. She loves spending her time walking her dogs on the boardwalk and relaxing with friends on the beach.
Hello, good afternoon. Today I'm going to present information about the increasing trend of youth initiating use of electronic nicotine delivery systems, which we're going to be calling ENDS, JUUL, e-cigarettes, vape pens, hookah pens, tanks, mods, etc. Over the past decade, the U.S. cigarette smoking rate among youth have significantly decreased. The current smoking rate of high school students in New Jersey is around 5%, which is lower than a national average. These rates decreased as a result of education and regulation. In 2017, electronic nicotine delivery system, ENDS, were introduced to the US, and over the past 10 years, use has skyrocketed to almost 21% of US high school students in 2018. Cigarette smoking rates nationally, 14%, 13.8% of New Jersey residents, 3.8% of New Jersey pregnant women, 5% of New Jersey high school students. E-cigarette use, current use of electronic cigarettes increased among middle school and high school students from 2011 to 2018. Nearly 5 of every 100 middle school students, which is 4.9%, reported in 2018 that they used electronic cigarettes in the past 30 days, an increase from 0.6% in 2011. Nearly 21 of every 100 high school students, 20.8%, reported in 2018 that they used electronic cigarettes in the past 30 days, an increase from 1.5% in 2011. All tobacco product use among youth in 2018, about 7 of every 100 middle school students, 7.2%, and about 27 of every 100 high school students, 27.1%, reported current use of some type of tobacco product. In 2013, nearly 18 of every 100 middle school students, 17.7%, and nearly half, 46% of high school students said they had ever tried a tobacco product. Vaping itself is a term introduced by the electronic smoking device industry to refer to any electronic vaporizer such as e-cigs, vapes, vape pens, vaporizers, and e-hookahs. The term can incorrectly lead people to believe that using electronic vaporizers produces a harmless water vapor, but in reality, these devices produce potentially harmful aerosols that are inhaled into the lungs and exhaled into the environment. When a person inhales, a sensor triggers the vaporizer to heat a small amount of liquid flavoring. The liquid turns into vapor and is inhaled into the lungs. The e-cigarette heats nicotine, but does not burn like a traditional tobacco cigarette. The vapor does not contain the 7,000 chemicals traditional cigarette smoke does. Invented in 2003, sold in the US market in 2007, originally designed to resemble regular cigarettes and now USBs. JUUL, which is pod-based, appeared in the market in 2015. The popularity of e-cigs and vapes among youth is of concern for health professionals, educators, and parents, in part because of the common misconception that these products are harmless and also because long-term consequences of e-cig vape use are still not known. E-cigarette aerosol is not harmless water vapor. The e-cigarette aerosol that users breathe from the device and exhale can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including nicotine, ultrafine particles that can be inhaled deep into the lungs, flavorings such as didactyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease, volatile organic compounds, cancer-causing chemicals, heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. It is difficult for consumers to know what e-cigarette products contain. For example, some e-cigarettes marketed as containing 0% nicotine have been found to contain nicotine. Manufacturers claim this delivery method is substantially less harmful than traditional cigarettes, but current data on the health effects of these devices are sparse, and most of which has been published has been by the tobacco industry scientists. Labeling is not always a reliable indicator of nicotine content, as studies have found mislabeling to be a common issue for e-cigarettes. Yet the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that 99% of e-cigarettes sold in U.S. convenience stores, supermarkets, and similar outlets in 2015 contain nicotine. Some research suggests that e-cigarettes might be less harmful than cigarettes when people who regularly smoke switch to them as a complete replacement, no dual use. However, nicotine in any form is a highly addictive drug. Research suggests that it can even prime the brain's reward system, putting ENDS users at risk for addiction to other drugs. The liquid used in e-cigarettes often contains nicotine and flavorings. This liquid is sometimes called e-juice, e-liquid, vape juice, or vape liquid. Users inhale e-cigarette aerosol into their lungs. Bystanders can also breathe in this aerosol when the user exhales it into the air. E-cigarette use exposes the lungs to a variety of chemicals, including those added to e-liquids and other chemicals produced during the heating, vaporizing process. A study of some e-cigarette products found that the vapor contains known carcinogens and toxic chemicals, as well as potentially toxic medical nanoparticles from the device itself. The study shows that the e-liquid of certain cig-alike brands contain high levels of nickel and chromium, which may come from the nichrome heating coils of the vaporizing device. Cig-alikes may also contain low levels of cadmium, a toxic metal also found in cigarette smoke that can cause breathing problems and disease. E-liquid's main ingredients of propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin have also been considered non-toxic when delivered orally, but of course e-cigarette vapors are inhaled. Besides these base ingredients, e-liquids include small amounts of nicotine plus flavoring compounds and are sold under names as candy corn, chocolate fudge, and berry splash. The scientists tested a proof of concept sample of 148 e-liquids and also performed a standard gas chromatography and gas spectrometry analysis of the ingredients. They found that these ingredients vary tremendously across the e-liquid products tested, and on the whole, more ingredients meant greater toxicity. The greater toxicity effects came from two flavor compounds, vanillin and cinnamaldehyde, which have been widely used in e-liquids. The higher the concentrations of these compounds in particular, the more toxic the e-liquids were, Sassano said. Solutions, sometimes called e-liquids, typically include nicotine, flavoring, and a humectant, such as propylene glycol, to retain moisture and contain an aerosol when heated. Many of the flavoring and humectants used in e-liquids have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration for oral consumption, but not for inhalation, due to the lack of research regarding the safety of these compounds when inhaled. Some newer e-cigarettes on the market have nicotine salts in e-liquids, prompting questions about the use, purpose, and safety about this novel form of nicotine. The makers of JUUL claim that their nicotine salt formulation increased the rate and amount of nicotine delivered into the blood compared to other formulations. While using an e-cigarette is often called vaping, the devices produce an aerosol, not a vapor. Unlike vapor, which is simply a substance in gas form, the aerosol from an e-cigarette can contain tiny chemical particles from both the liquid solution and the device. Example, metals from the heating coil. The teen years are critical for brain development, which continues into young adulthood. Young people who use nicotine products in any form, including e-cigarettes, are uniquely at risk for long-lasting effects. Because nicotine affects the development of the brain's reward system, continued e-cigarette use can not only lead to nicotine addiction, but it also can make other drugs such as cocaine and methamphetamine more pleasurable to a teen's developing brain. Nicotine also affects the development of brain circuits that control attention and learning. Other risks include mood disorders and permanent problems with impulse control, failure to fight an urge or impulse that may harm oneself or others. That breaks down to nearly 1 in 11 middle school and high school students in the US has used cannabis in e-cigarette, according to a new report, and that's from the JAMA Pediatrics. That breaks down to 12.4% of high school students and 4.5% of middle school students, 8.9% combined who have ever vaped marijuana, which is on par with other or higher than previous students, which we have found. The data from the 2016 National Youth Tobacco Survey, which includes more than 20,000 students nationwide. It only takes a few puffs from a cigarette, 2 milligrams of nicotine, or an e-cigarette for the nicotine to enter the body. Within 7 to 10 seconds, the nicotine travels up to the brain's nicotine receptors. High levels of nicotine creates a buzz feeling and releases endorphins, the feel-good chemicals. As the nicotine levels drop in the brain, the body begins to go through withdrawal. When withdrawal, the following symptoms can occur: cravings for a cigarette, dizziness, headaches, coughing, trouble concentrating, irritability, fatigue, and constipation. This cycle occurs about every 2 hours. What is addiction? The World Health Organization describes drug dependence as a behavioral pattern in which the use of a given psychoactive drug is given a sharply higher priority over other behaviors that once had a significantly higher value. In other words, the drug comes to control behavior to an extent considered detrimental to the individual or to society. Addiction and dependence are terms that are often interchangeably to describe compulsive use of a chemical regardless of the consequences. Addiction is described as a primary illness, not a secondary result of other condition. All of the diseases we treat caused by tobacco addiction are secondary illnesses caused by the primary disease, tobacco addiction. Chronic, it does not disappear. It can be treated and managed, but not cured. Think of a chronic illness like diabetes. Progressive, this means it gets worse over time if not treated. Tolerance often builds, meaning needing more of the drug to get the same effect, and damage to the body becomes more apparent. Fatal, if left untreated. Treatable, there is help and hope for recovery for those enslaved by tobacco treatment. Addiction. Addiction is powerful. 3 components of addiction. There's the physical. A physical craving for tobacco and withdrawal symptoms may be present in the absence of the drug. Habit. The use is ritualistic and done without thought. Psychological. The belief that the user cannot function without the habit. Poisonings have been on the rise. As most bottles are not childproof, exposure to nicotine in children can make them more prone to addiction later in life and cause them to need more nicotine. The main ingredient is propylene glycol, which is FDA approved, which is used in many products. Exposure to e-liquid. Accidental exposure to or ingestion of e-liquids can be very dangerous, and in the case of accidental swallowing or injection, even fatal. Explosions. Defective, poorly manufactured, and improperly modified e-cigarettes have been known to explode and cause injury. The rate of explosions is unknown, but both hospitals and burn centers have reported injuries from e-cigarettes. Secondhand aerosol exposure. Exposure to aerosol from e-cigarettes may expose non-users to nicotine, but research indicates that secondhand aerosol results in substantially lower exposure to toxicants and carcinogens than secondhand cigarette smoke. However, exposure among vulnerable populations, including pregnant women and children, could still be dangerous. Currently, the same regulations that govern the advertisement of other tobacco products do not govern the advertisement of electronic cigarette products. These products continue to have TV commercials, billboards, print ads, and ads in retail stores. In 2000,
you need to start from the beginning, because you said you mispronounced government or govern.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Currently, the same regulations that govern the advertisement of other tobacco products do not govern the advertisement of electronic cigarette products. These products continue to have TV commercials, billboards, print ads, and ads in retail stores. In 2016, the FDA finalized a rule extending our regulatory authority to cover all tobacco products, including vaporizers, vape pens, hookah pens, electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, e-pipes, and all other ends. The FDA now regulates the manufacturer, import, packaging, labeling, advertising, promotion, sale, and distribution of ends. This includes components and parts of ends, but excludes accessories. And that's from FDA.gov. The electronic cigarette industry uses millions of dollars a year for advertising. Currently, the FDA is working on enforcing the ruling from 2016 regarding the type and location of advertising. However, the CDC and Truth Initiative, 4 of 5 middle school and high school students see ads in retail stores, online, on television, and in newspapers and magazines. The FDA regulates tobacco products manufactured in the US. The consumer can know exactly what contents are in each product, including the level of nicotine. The Master Settlement Agreement includes regulation on marketing tobacco products. Products can no longer be seen in magazines, newspapers, in movies, and only a certain % of the exterior of stores can advertise. In 2016, the FDA won regulation rights on ends, however. Current marketing practice for ends are similar to other tobacco products prior to the Master Settlement Agreement. For example, look at the picture on the left. That is a magazine advertisement from pre-Master Settlement Agreement times. The picture on the left is a current magazine advertisement for the e-cigarette called Blue. Talk about the similarities. The colors of the woman, the product. The current advertisement has a woman holding an e-cigarette, and look how similar the advertising is. E-cigarette companies advertise that the products are safer than smoking cigarettes, and many claim that they are nicotine-free and only water vapor. As discussed earlier in the presentation, there are chemicals in these products that are dangerous to inhale. there have not been enough scientific studies to prove that these products are safe to use. The campaign for tobacco-free kids, if there is a public health benefit to the emergence of e-cigarettes, it will come only if they are effective at helping smokers stop using cigarettes completely, and if they are marketed so that they do not re-glamorize smoking among young people. There are over 3.6 million youths that are current e-cigarette users. Among current youth e-cigarette users, is 68% used flavoring compared to 61% in 2017. Youth overall tobacco use has increased 27.1% and 7.2% in middle school students in 2017. E-cigarettes have been the most commonly used tobacco products among youth since 2014. The current question in the New York TS now include the use of JUUL. This may account for the rise in youth as youth use a JUUL product, consider themselves JUULing and not vaping. 2018 e-cigarette data, FDA released findings on e-cigarette use from the 2018 National Youth Tobacco Survey early to call attention to sharp increase in e-cigarette use among middle and high school students in the last year. These findings include increases in use of e-cigarette use by both groups, frequency of use, flavored e-cigarette use, overall tobacco use, which is driven by the significant increase in e-cigarette use. Understanding why students use e-cigarettes. The CDC and FDA analyzed data from NYTS 2016 to assess reasons youth use e-cigarettes. Among those who had ever used an e-cigarette, the most commonly selected reasons for use were use by a friend or family member, which was 39%, availability of flavors such as mint, candy, fruit, or chocolate, 31%, the belief that they are less harmful than any other forms of tobacco, such as cigarettes, which accounted for 17.1%. This slide shows the historic use of tobacco products among New Jersey youth. Note that the e-cigarette use declined from 2014 to 2016, however, it is still the highest used tobacco product. This decline may be related to the question on the survey. Youth who use JUUL do not consider themselves vaping, they are JUULing. Therefore, this number may be higher, as in the national survey. Among New Jersey public high school students in the 2016-17 school year, 38.7% had ever sampled at least one of the following tobacco products. The most common product ever tried was e-cigarette, 21%, followed by cigarettes, 17.4%, cigars, 17.2%, and hookah was at 15.9%. 16.8% were currently using at least one tobacco product. 8.5%, about half of all current tobacco users, were currently using 2 or more tobacco products. The most common currently used e-cigarettes, 9.6%, hookah, 7%, cigars, 6.8%, and cigarettes at 4.7%. 4.8%, about 3/4 of current cigar smokers were currently smoking a flavored cigar product. 2.7%, about 3/4 of SLT users were currently users of flavored SLT product. This slide shows the result of the 2016 New Jersey Youth Tobacco Survey. While New Jersey is below the national average of e-cigarette and combustible cigarette use, Let's refer back to the previous slide that states the most common product ever tried was e-cigarette, 20%. Keep in mind that screening for all tobacco use is important as the use of e-cigarettes increases, so might the use of other tobacco products. The most common reason for using e-cigarettes is for the flavor. A student that may have never have been a smoker of combustible cigarettes becomes addicted to nicotine via e-cigarettes. They then can begin using other tobacco products to fulfill the craving. 14.2% of New Jersey high school students still use a tobacco product. More than 1.4, 27.1% high school students, and about 1 in 14, 7.2 middle school students currently used a tobacco product in 2018. For the 5th year in a row, e-cigarettes, 20.8%, were the most commonly used tobacco product among high school students. Among current tobacco users, about 2 in 5, 1.68 million high school students, and 1 in 3, 270,000 middle school students used 2 or more tobacco products in 2018. The most commonly used tobacco product combination was e-cigarettes and conventional cigarettes among both middle and high school students. We have watched the youth cigarette rate significantly decline over the past 10 years. This was done through education, youth empowerment, and treatment. The goal was to have the first generation of non-tobacco users. The introduction of the electronic cigarette being marketed directly to youth has begun to reverse the trend. Youth begin initiation without any knowledge of nicotine content and quickly become addicted to nicotine. It becomes more costly to use the e-cigarette and e-liquid, so youth begin smoking cigarettes to combat their nicotine withdrawal symptoms. The question is that we need to ask, did the youth who are current cigarette smokers begin initiation with e-cigarettes? CDC, electronic use among middle school, high school students, United States, 2011 to 2012, through 2013, more than 3/4 of youth, 76.3%, are current e-cigarette users, are now current smokers. E-cigarette use increased from 11.7% to 20.8% among high school students and from 3.3% to 4.9% among high school students from 2017 to 2018. No change was found in the use of other tobacco products, including cigarettes, during this time. Among youth, e-cigarettes are still the most commonly used tobacco product, ahead of cigarettes, cigars, smokeless tobacco, hookah, and pipes. E-cigarettes are the most commonly used products in combination with other tobacco products. E-cigarette use is highest for boys, whites, and high school students. Data from the 2014 National Health Interview Survey suggests e-cigarette use is higher among young adults, 18 to 24-year-olds, with 22% having tried an e-cigarette. In addition, 9.7% of young adults who have never smoked traditional cigarettes have tried an e-cigarette, making this age group among the highest use of e-cigarettes in non-smokers. The CDC Quick Stats, cigarette smoking status among current adult e-cigarette users by age group interviewed. This slide shows that the use of e-cigarettes is a problem among those under 24 years old. While there was a rise in e-cigarette use among young adults, the larger rise was among middle and high school youth. Read the comment under the left table. The data indicates the patterns of use are among the opposite of what they should be. Rates are highest among the younger age groups and decrease with age. The pattern should be the opposite. with the higher rates of adult use consistent with higher rates of smoking prevalence. The warnings on this slide are on the JUUL's website and on the package. Despite having the strong warnings, the fruit flavors are appealing to youth. It is recommended that an adult educator purchase the JUUL so that they are familiar with the look and feel. This product is a small flash drive device that uses pre-filled pods to deliver nicotine to the user. Youth are using this device at an alarming rate, and in the next slide, you will see that the JUUL has the majority of the market of youth users. Using on JUUL pod has the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. A JUUL user considers himself JUULing, not vaping. The device is very easy to hide and share. The pod is the mouthpiece and can be purchased separately, thus saving the money by renting the device. I must add that since this has been written, the flavorings have been banned in the state of New Jersey and have gone into effect. Are nicotine salts more satisfying? The greatest potential benefit of nicotine salt e-liquid is that users may find themselves more satisfying than other e-liquids. There's a lower pH of nicotine salts, allowing those e-liquids to create less throat hit than free-base nicotine e-liquids with similar strengths. Nicotine salt allows use of higher nicotine e-liquids with less irritation. Nicotine salts do not give off the large cloud of vape as other products do. Nicotine salts deliver nicotine into the blood 2.7 times faster than other products. Current JUUL shareholders include Tiger Global Management and the mutual fund firm Fidelity Investments. According to publicly available disclosures, with the new money, the company will be worth more than $16 billion. 63% of JUUL users did not know that this product always contained nicotine. Take a good look at the red line. That is a picture of the previous slide. JUUL's growth continues to climb. JUUL's growth in 2018, early spring, a little more than 50%, May, 68%, August, 71.2%, October, 75%, and as of December 2018, JUUL controls about 80% of the market. JUUL's real-life marketing techniques. Review bullets for each picture and discuss. Stop, let me redo that because I was just talking about what they wanted me to do. Start over on that slide, Daisy?
Yeah, no, I was just leaving it so that you could start.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna count.
Stem 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So if we look on the left, the picture on the left, those are JUUL's real marketing techniques. Look how large they are. There's YouTube videos, there's advertising in magazines, launch parties, there's sampling tours. Look how glamorizing they're making it look. Then these are real life photos. That's Selena Gomez, and they're showing other celebrities that are JUULing too. So it makes it really appealing to youth. So look at this too, one of the first major e-cigarette brands to rely heavily on social media to market and promote its own products. They didn't even have to do their own advertising. People are doing it on their own through social media. On the right, you see a back to school promotional sale. This photo was taken outside a North Jersey convenience store. That's how a lot of these youth get started. $20 off these starter kits. The starter kits are expensive, but when they give these promos, That's how it loops these teenagers in and gets them started. This slide shows the popularity of the fruity flavors in the JUUL pods. The fruit medley and mango are the most popular JUUL flavors. And like I said before, this has been banned in New Jersey. Governor Murphy has banned them in New Jersey. So they've been taken off the market, but there's still some in the stores that haven't been sold out yet. So they're just slowly being sold out of the stores. But that's what hooked a lot of these youth in. Students have learned to hack the JUUL pods. So they're adding marijuana to them. So of the youth that have used the JUUL, 1 in 3 have used marijuana with the devices. Students report seeing JUUL used in the schools. This is causing problems for non-using students during their daily routine, including using the bathroom, a common place for JUUL being used. A new phenomenon in school is renting the JUUL device. The owner of the device will leave it in a computer looking like a flash drive. The next user picks up the JUUL from the computer, puts it in their own pod, and uses the device. The student then leaves it in another computer, and so on. This involves texting so that the student knows where to pick up the device. The theory is that it's less expensive to rent the device and just buy the pods. Students who are not using JUUL or vaping at all now see the products in the classroom as the renting phenomenon is growing. Youth who had used JUUL in the past 30 days reported that they had got the product in one of these ways. 1, physical retail locations. The most common way youth got JUUL is through physical retail locations. Nearly 3/4, 74% of youth said that they have obtained JUUL at a store or retail outlet. In recent weeks, the FDA issued warning letters to retailers, including gas stations, convenience stores, and vape shops for selling the product to minors. The letters warned establishments that an FDA inspector observed a clerk selling the device to a minor and that failure to correct these violations may lead to federal enforcement actions, including monetary penalties. 2, a social source. Just over half, 52%, reported that they had received JUUL from a social source, such as a friend or family member. 3, online. Although the internet was not the most common way youth obtained JUUL, only 6% reported that they received the product through an online transaction. Nearly all youth who tried to buy the product online were successful. Among those who attempted an online transaction, 89% succeeded. When the FDA issued its first warning letters about JUUL to retailers, it also announced that it contacted eBay to express concerns about JUUL product listings. Quote, "We're thankful for eBay's swift action to remove the listings and voluntarily implement new measures to prevent new listings from being posted to the web retailer's site," unquote. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said in a statement. However, some JUUL products are still available on eBay. The FDA crackdown on JUUL also includes asking the maker, JUUL Labs, to turn over documents related to marketing, health effects, and youth among use. While recent FDA action is encouraging, problems with tobacco products like JUUL won't be addressed until the FDA fully regulates e-cigarettes and establishes a strong pre-market review process to prevent these kinds of products from being sold in the first place. As of this morning, we stopped expecting, I'm going to redo this, hold on. Quote, as of this morning, we stopped accepting retail orders of our mango, fruit, cream, and cucumber JUUL pods to the over 90,000 retail stores that sell our product, including traditional tobacco retailers, including convenience stores and specialty vape shops, unquote, the company said Tuesday in a news release. Although JUUL is currently the top-selling e-cigarette brand in the United States, other companies sell e-cigarettes that look like USB flash drives. Examples include the Mark 10 Elite, a nicotine delivery device, and the Pax Era, a marijuana delivery device that looks like JUUL. Altria JUUL deal is an alarming development for public health. Altria is the most powerful cigarette company in the US and is buying a 35% stake in JUUL. Altria's interests are served by maximizing sales and profits from both the cigarette and e-cigarette markets, and they have every reason to push JUUL to market its products in a way that does the least damage to the cigarette market. Altria, JUUL, tobacco giant Altria has invested $12.8 billion for a 35% stake in JUUL and valued the company at $38 billion. Altria has no interest in reducing the number of people who smoke cigarettes. They see JUUL as their fail-safe in case the cigarette market keeps declining so that they remain profitable no matter what happens. Altria's interests are served by maximizing sales and profits from both the cigarette and e-cigarette markets, and they have every reason to push JUUL to market its products in a way that does the least damage to the cigarette market. So we want to know for the signs. To help educators, if you're looking for signs, we want to watch for students who are leaving the classroom at the same time daily. If the student's mood changes from before they left to when they return, that may be from dosing with nicotine. The nicotine withdrawal causes irritability. Students who have increased their use of texting or social media may be connecting to others, renting the devices, or purchasing. There is a large population of students who use JUUL and e-cigarettes in the bathroom. Students may be socializing while they are vaping, using the same bathroom stall. Students may be hiding their vaping device in drop ceilings. Check those regularly. If students arrive in the classroom smelling like fruity scent, especially the males, they may have just used their devices. As in the middle photo, students are hiding their vaping devices in other products, such as large markers. There are wraps available for JUUL, like devices to conceal the standard black look. The scent. E-cig vapor can have no odor at all, which is part of the appeal, says Laura Uffoot, doctor, founder of the teen health website Real Talk with Dr. Uffoot, that said the vapor can be flavored. So if you suddenly catch a whiff of fruit punch, bubblegum, or mint, and you can find no juice containers, gum, or candy wrappers, that can be a red flag. Pens that aren't pens. Another thing that I think is helpful for parents to be aware of is e-cigarettes or vaporizers that can look like many things. Says Uffoot, they can look like thumb drives or pens or look like a stylus. So if you spot something that looks along these lines, take a closer look. And there are holes on each end so that you probably got an e-cig on your hands. Copious sipping of liquids. One major ingredient in the vaporized liquids in e-cigarettes is propylene glycol, which is hypersonic, which means it attracts and holds water molecules from its environment like the mouth. According to Genovese, this can lead e-cigs to have a constant state of dry mouth, which can be alleviated by quaffing more drinks. Dry mouth is another common side effect. Nosebleeds. The water holding effect of e-cig vapor can also dry out the nasal passages, leading to bloody noses. Passing on caffeine. Some e-cig users develop a sensitivity to caffeine and curb their caffeine intake. So if your teen is subtly passing on the Red Bulls that they used to chug often, vaping may be to blame. So some educators can learn the difference about the different shapes and sizes of e-cigarettes and the risks. Develop, implement, and enforce tobacco-free school policies. Reject youth tobacco prevention programs sponsored by the tobacco industry. These programs have been found to be ineffective for preventing youth tobacco use. In 2016, the FDA finalized a rule extending CTP's regulatory authority to cover all tobacco products, including electronic nicotine delivery systems, ENDS, that meet the definition of a tobacco product. The FDA regulates the manufacturer, import, packaging, labeling, advertising, promotion, sale, and distribution of ENDS, including components and parts of ENDS, but excluding accessories. Examples of components and parts of ENDS include the components of electronic nicotine delivery systems, e-liquids, a glass or plastic vial container of e-liquid, cartridges, atomizers, certain batteries, cartomizers or claromizers, digital displays or lights to adjust settings, tank systems, drip tips, flavorings for ENDS, programmable software. If you make, modify, mix, manufacture, fabricate, assemble, process, label, repack, relabel, or import ENDS, you must comply with the requirements for manufacturers. Required nicotine addictiveness warning on packages and advertisements. Beginning in 2018, all covered tobacco products must bear the required nicotine addictiveness warning statement on product packages and advertisements. Cigars, which are also covered tobacco products, have additional required warning statements. The retail sales of ENDS and e-liquids, if you sell ENDS, e-liquids, or their components or parts made or derived from tobacco, there's a summary of federal rules that retailers must follow. Vape shops that mix e-liquids or modify the products. If you operate a vape shop that mixes or prepares liquid nicotine or nicotine containing e-liquid or creates or modifies any type of ENDS, you may be considered a manufacturer. In July 2017, the initial plan, flavored early application and threatened removal from the market for August 8th of 2019. 2017 plan no longer threatens removal from market, encourages all applicants to wait until August 8th, 2022, allows time for e-cigs to complete for market share, encourages innovation, and potentially allows cohort of youth to become addicted. The Academy of AAP Maryland Chapter, American Cancer Society, Cancer Action Network, American Heart Association, American Lung Association, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Truth Initiative, and 5 pediatricians filed their lawsuits against the FDA, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the heads of both agencies for delaying a review of e-cigarettes and cigars. The groups say that the Food and Drug Administration is putting children at risk by allowing the products to stay on the market without adequate information about their impacts. As of November 1st, 2017, New Jersey raised the age for buying e-cigarettes and all tobacco products to 21. 95% of adult smokers began smoking by the age of 21. By raising the smoking age, New Jersey hopes to reduce the number of young adults who become lifelong smokers. In 2017, a New Jersey law was passed to ban smoking in public parks and beaches. This law expanded the reach of the Smoke-Free Air Act to include parks and beaches. This document is a useful guide for parents, but can be used by teachers, staff, health educators to help with the conversation about why youth should not be vaping. The tool is only 4 pages, but it is full of helpful information that can help adults feel comfortable about talking to teens. Adolescents whose parents or other adults in their lives strongly disapprove of their smoking, even if the adults themselves smoke, are less likely to take up smoking. Your disapproval has even been found to counteract the influence of peers on smoking. Ask for support. Not know where to begin? Ask your healthcare provider how to talk to your teen about the risks of e-cigarettes. You might also suggest that your teen talk with other trusted adults, such as relatives, teachers, faith leaders, coaches, or counselors whom you know are aware of the risks of e-cigarettes. These supportive adults can also reinforce your message as a parent. These are the numbers for the New Jersey quit lines. This is the websites for the Don't Get Vaped In, the Facebook pages, Instagram, and Twitter. There's lots of social media pages that can support these actions. The Truth Initiative, Smoke Free, New Jersey Quit Lines, lots of resources here. And this was created by the Southern New Jersey Perinatal Cooperative, and this was funded by the New Jersey Department of Health, Office of Tobacco-Free Nutrition and Fitness.
Okay.
Deena, can you redo that last slide?
Yeah, I thought so. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
One, two, three, four, five.
This PowerPoint was created by the Southern New Jersey Perinatal Cooperative, and it was funded by the New Jersey Department of Health, Office of Tobacco-Free Nutrition and Fitness.
Okay.
Okay, Deena,
Thank you.
this is Roseanne. At the very beginning, before you started the actual slides, I think you said that ENDS were introduced into the United States in 2017, but they were introduced in 2007. And
Did I say 2017?
I think so. That's why that's what I caught. It's like at the very beginning when you first started talking.
Yeah. I'm looking at my notes. It's 2007. You're right. Did I say 2017?
You did say 2017.
Okay. Can I redo the first slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back to the beginning.
Good catch, Roseanne.
Good catch.
Yeah, well,
Roseanne,
I only did a million vaping presentations. That's why I know that.
No,
Yeah, I
the
wouldn't.
fact that you remembered it.
I thought you were forgetting to change your slides. I was in the middle of texting Daisy when they moved, but there's a lot of information before the slides even change once. So
I know. No, I know. Yeah.
They include a lot of stuff, a lot of statistics and stuff.
yeah, and I was surprised at that, thinking that they would have a slide on that.
Yeah,
But-
I thought they would go more into.
That whole slide,
I just thought
okay,
they would.
that slide is very.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, welcome and thank you for joining us. Our presentation today is
Okay,
Don't Get
sorry.
Vaped In, the next generation.
1 minute.
What?
There's background echoing. Let me see. Okay. On the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to present information about the increasing trend of youth initiating use of electronic nicotine delivery systems, ENDS, JUUL, e-cigarettes, vape pens, hookah pens, tanks, mods, etc. Over the past decade, the U.S. cigarette smoking rate among youth have significantly decreased. The current smoking rate of high school students in New Jersey is 5%, which is lower than the national average. These rates decreased as a result of education and regulation. In 2007, electronic nicotine delivery systems, ENDS, were introduced into the U.S., and over the past 10 years, use has skyrocketed to almost 21% of U.S. high school students in 2018. Cigarette smoking rates nationally is about 14%. In New Jersey, it's about 13.8%, 3.8% of New Jersey pregnant women, 5% of New Jersey high school students. E-cigarette use, current use of electronic cigarettes increased among middle and high school students from 2011 to 2018. Nearly 5 of every 100 middle school students, 4.9%, reported in 2018 that they used electronic cigarettes in the past 30 days, which is an increase from 0.6% in 2011. Nearly 21 of every 100 high school students, 20.8%, reported in 2018 that they used electronic cigarettes in the past 30 days, an increase from 1.5% in 2011. All tobacco use among youth in 2018, about 7 of every 100 middle school students, 7.2%, and about 27 of every 100 high school students, 27.1%, reported current use of some type of tobacco product. In 2013, nearly 18 of every 100 middle school students, 17.7%, and nearly half, 46% of high school students said they had ever tried a tobacco product.
Okay,